City rise to the occasion, Juve stumble in France, Lewandowski's injury nightmare, a transfer roundup and the Onefootball power rankings all coming up in the next few minutes as I'm your host Matt Folick, you are the Onefootballers and this is the Daily News. First up, Manchester City really did rise to the occasion at the Bernabeu last night where Pep Guardiola managed to become the first manager this century to beat Real Madrid 10 times. Unbelievable for the man who usually overthinks a Champions League knockout round just a little bit too much. I'm not going to lie, the first half was pretty shocking. I mean, every pass seemed to go backwards. The keeper seemed to have the most touch of the ball on both sides, and no one was really attacking and getting at the defence. Apart from City having a couple of chances cleared off the line, there wasn't really much to talk about. But second half, things definitely got a little bit better. First, Isco struck before City turned it around with goals from Gabriel Jesus and Kevin De Bruyne. And to make things worse, Sergio Ramos got himself sent off because of course he did. It was a last man push on Gabriel Jesus who definitely dived and made the most of it, but still, Ramos, you should know better than that with all your experience. Anyway, aside from this, it obviously was a really good night for Manchester City considering during the day that they appealed against their ban from the Champions League for the next 2 seasons. If they can literally go through that ban as champions, it'll be just unbelievable. They'll literally manage to do the thing they've been trying to do for pretty much the last decade. And Guardiola especially, having not won it in the last decade either, this will just be phenomenal. Besides this though, City really did have a good plan. I said the first half was boring, but it also was down to the fact that Guardiola really had a good, intense pressing game. They didn't really let Real Madrid get out and produce anything that was noteworthy apart from Benzema's header, and well, Real Madrid kind of did the same thing. Anyway, the only good piece of news on the day for Real Madrid was that Karim Benzema extended his contract till 2022. Take that as good news if you will. So when it comes to the return leg at the Etihad in a few weeks' time, of course Man City are in the driving seat, and as for Real Madrid, I can't see who's going to provide that spark. Honestly, this is the game that Ronaldo would win for Real Madrid. A few years ago, it'd be 2-1 away from home, difficult situation. This would be the game where the big man, Mr. Champions League himself, would step up and win it for Real Madrid. But without him, I can't see it happening. But talking of Cristiano Ronaldo, his team didn't exactly fare so well last night either. That's because Juventus lost 1-0 to Leone. Now, don't get me wrong, I fully expect Juve to turn it around at home in the second leg, but it really was not the best night for the old lady. They failed to have a shot on target, if you take away Dybala's ruled out goal, for only the 3rd time this century in the Champions League. I mean, with the attacking prowess of Dybala and Cristiano Ronaldo, the guy that's had the most shots on average per 90 minutes in Serie A, how on earth did they not have a shot on target? This also joins up with the fact that Cristiano Ronaldo now has taken 38 free kicks to Juventus, none of which have gone in. Maybe it's time to retire that title of being one of the best free kick takers ever. Anyway, as I mentioned before, they do have the second leg to turn it around, and Leone will really be hoping that somehow they can pull off the most unlikely of clean sheets and see themselves through to the quarterfinals. But moving on and to a bit more reaction from Tuesday night's Champions League game in which Bayern Munich, as we mentioned, took apart Chelsea 3-0. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows for the German club as now Robert Lewandowski is out with a major injury for the next 4 weeks. Apparently he broke part of his tibia just below his left knee on Tuesday night, meaning that he could miss up to 6 games. That's the return leg against Chelsea, which probably isn't so bad that he's missing that considering they're 3-0 up. The Cup quarter-final against Schalke, which is a pretty big game. And 4 Bundesliga games, 4 key Bundesliga games, because they're sat just 1 point ahead of RB Leipzig. Of course, they do have other players who could fill in. Serge Gnabry's definitely going to find the back of the net in at least a few of those games. But for someone who's got 39 in 33 this season, it is a big miss for Bayern Munich. So next up, a quick roundup of the rest of the day's transfer news, where Liverpool have been told that if they want to sign Timo Werner for the clause of 51 million, they'll need to agree the deal before April. Spurs defender Jan Vertonghen is interesting Inter Milan, who are willing to offer the Belgian a contract because he hasn't been offered one yet beyond the summer at Tottenham. And talking of Spurs, they're interested in taking 28-year-old Leipzig attacking midfielder Emil Forsberg. And lastly but not least, Nahuel Guzman, the Tigres goalkeeper, scored a last-minute goal to make sure that the Mexican side did not lose embarrassingly in the first round of the CONCACAF Champions League to a team all the way from El Salvador. So welcome to the Onefootball Power Rankings. This is where we put together the definitive list of the most informed players in Europe based off their last 5 games in their domestic league and in European competition. First off though, let's take a look at who's in at numbers 10 till 6. Number 10 is Dortmund fullback Achraf Hakimi. Harry Maguire sits in at 9. Alphonso Davies fires himself into 8, with Thiago at 7 and Edin Dzeko just outside the top 5 at number 6. So into number 5 now, and it's Kevin De Bruyne. We already spoke about how brilliantly he played at the Bernabeu? Well, that was his third assist and his second goal in the last 5 games. The Belgian midfielder has been on brilliant form, and as we mentioned, scoring a winner at the Bernabeu is pretty damn good. He's done well, but not well enough to crack the top 4, so he sits in at number 5. Number 4, and moving down one position, though not entirely his fault, is Josip Ilicic. Unfortunately, at the weekend, due to the coronavirus fears, a lot of games were cancelled in Serie A, meaning that Atalanta didn't play. So we still take the last 5 games of Ilicic anyway, and he's in pretty good form, so he's in at number 4. It's just that the others, well, they did a little bit better over the weekend. In third, and it's the goal-scoring wonder kid, Erling Haaland. Now, I know you're thinking, Matt, how has he moved down from second last week? Well, the top 2 have just had pretty damn good weeks. To say that Haaland hasn't is a bit of an understatement. He scored another goal at the weekend, but that's all he kind of really did in a performance which was rather easy for Dortmund. Anyway, he's now got 4 goals in his last 2 games. We know that he's on absolute fire in the black and yellow of Dortmund, so he sits very, very close to the top 2 in third. So we reach the last 2 now, and you guys know how it goes. I present a case for both before revealing who is the winner of this week's power rankings. First up, and we have last week's title holder, Leonel Messi. I'm not gonna lie, Monday morning I came into work and I thought, you know what, Messi's going to be top of the power rankings. He was top last week with loads of assists, and he ended his goal drought by scoring 4 against Eibar. That was until he dropped a little bit of a clanger against Napoli. No one at Barcelona had a particularly good game in the 1-1 draw, so Messi's position was kind of under threat. That by the challenger for this week, Robert Lewandowski. Of course, we know when he's involved, goals are involved. Over the weekend on Friday night, he saved Bayern Munich from potentially embarrassing draw or defeat at home to bottom side Paderborn with 2 goals. Then he went to Stamford Bridge, laid on 2, got on the score sheet himself. It was a brilliant match. Lewandowski's been in fine form, and he's certainly challenging Lionel Messi. So with that said and done, I can reveal that this week's winner is Robert Lewandowski. He takes the title off Messi, but of course we can wait for another week of action to see if the Argentinian can wrestle it back next Thursday. Up until then though, make sure you let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on the power rankings and the rest of today's daily news. Whilst you're there, you can smash the like button, click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on at OneFootball. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.